It's a controversial project that could affect New Jersey and Pennsylvania residents, the PennEast pipeline. And this farm behind me is just one example of land that could potentially be seized for the project. Representative Tom Malinowski met and spoke with local landowners that are concerned about this issue right here at this property. Yesterday was Earth Day, and it was the day that U.S. Representative Tom Malinowski visited this farm in Stockton, New Jersey.
And it's something you just assume is a place where you can feel safe. Well, they've taken all that away, and then they've also taken the value of our properties away.
Yep.
I have lost about $500,000 in property value. And, you know, I have 3 kids in college and, you know, their futures to think about, and that's stealing from them.
To speak with concerned landowners in Hunterdon County on the proposed PennEast pipeline project. You hosted the event, right? How did it feel to have Representative Malinowski here?
Wonderful. He's been, you know, ever since I met him and he was running, I supported him speaking out against the pipeline. And I think, you know, he's a politician with integrity, and I believe in him. And having him here on Earth Day, speaking to us about PennEast, really shows, you know, that he means what he says.
Well, it's Earth Day for us here, and the big concern in this part of Hunterdon County and my district is the proposed PennEast pipeline, which is supposed to be built, if your camera can even capture it, right through this front yard where that sheep is. Basically it's taking away land from people who've invested years, decades in building their farms, building their properties. So I'm consulting with folks who live in the community about the efforts to stop the pipeline.
Signs against the pipeline like this line this stretch of road. This road with farmhouses where PennEast pipeline plans to go through. The proposed 116-mile pipeline would start in Luzerne County, PA, cut through the Lehigh Valley and into Hunterdon County before crossing into Mercer County.
The pipeline can only be built by taking land from landowners who don't want to see it in their backyards. And so the only way to do that is eminent domain. There's a huge concern that even though the pipeline may not be approved in the end, if the company takes land by eminent domain, they could start cutting down old trees, transforming the landscape.
You know, you can't even believe this is America when that happens. You know, you kind of assume that you buy your house, you own it, until something like this happens. I mean, things have to change with the gas company's ability to just willy-nilly take people's land for their unnecessary projects.
PennEast is funded by multiple energy companies. If approved, the $1 billion pipeline would transport natural gas for domestic heating and electricity generation in Pennsylvania, New Jersey, and part of New York. We reached out to a spokesperson for the PennEast pipeline who told us the consortium has worked with landowners and regulatory agencies for 5 years. She said PennEast has collaborative relationships with the majority of landowners along the route and that the project has been deemed by multiple regulators to be safe for air, water, and the environment. PennEast says landowners are compensated fully and fairly for easement agreements. And according to the U.S. Energy Information Administration, energy consumption per household is highest in the Northeast region of the country. And for New Jersey, one of the fastest warming states in the country, climate change is an issue especially concerning for many residents.
Some people will say we don't need more natural gas at all because of fracking and climate change. But even if you don't take that position and you believe we still need to deal with natural gas for some time as a transitional fuel, it still does not make sense to demonstrate demand through this kind of self-dealing.
What are your concerns regarding any environmental effects this might have?
Well, I'm afraid of losing my organic certification. Nothing is sacred to them. They're supposed to avoid organic, they're supposed to avoid wetlands and springs, and I have all of that here.
There's concern about the Delaware River and what horizontal directional drilling, the risks that it might propose to the water in the Delaware, which is the drinking water for 15 million people.
Dr. Dean Shapiro, a practicing physician, has several public health concerns regarding the project.
We have groundwater formations where the rocks are rich in arsenic, and arsenic is a concern here. We have relatively safe levels, but there are problems in some places, and there is concern that a large construction project that would crush a lot of rock in the area would release enough arsenic to create water contamination problems.
I saw that you're on the subcommittees for water quality and environment, as well as the railroads, pipelines, and hazardous materials subcommittees. So how do you plan on using your role in DC specifically with the concerns that were expressed on the pipeline today?
Well, I'm on the Transportation Infrastructure Committee, which has jurisdiction over pipelines and pipeline safety. We've already had hearings on that, and I asked some tough questions about PennEast specifically, pipelines in general, and it gives me, I think, a stronger opportunity to legislate on this issue in the future.
It's been going on for 4 years, but we've all been united and coming together, and I think they didn't anticipate how strong we were and how much we would really stick together.
In Stockton, New Jersey, I'm Karishma Desai, PBS 39 News Tonight.